Lord Buddha said once, there are 5 types of horses. One horse comes under that category where the rider has to use his soul to touch him on the stomach, only then he speed up. Another better quality horse is where the rider doesn't have to touch it, but give a feeling to a horse that I am going to touch you, can hit you with my soul. The second type of horses, they are better. Third type of horses are where the rider has to use the whip and hurt him little bit, then he improves. The fourth type of horses are those who are given not a, you don't have to hit them, but just touch them with that whip, then they speed up. And the top class horses are, you just show the whip and the horse sees the image on the ground and follow the instruction. So today we are going to discuss the horoscope of a great billionaire of India, Mukesh Ambani, and I think he belongs to the 5th category of horses. He was born on 19th April 1957 at Eden. In those days, Dhirubhai Ambani was working in a different country, and he has gone there, and there Mukesh Ambani was born. I had an opportunity to meet him later on, and he used to call me very often on the telephone. We had many discussions, and I visited his house also, and had the privilege of having breakfast in silver utensils. So I just asked him. I got always get fascinated by the people who have risen from nowhere, and Dhirubhai Ambani was also one of those people who have risen from nowhere. So I just asked him, how did you rise, after discussing his chart and all that? He said, I was a pump man. I said, what do you mean by pump man? He said, I was working in a gas station or petrol pump in Athens, and there Yemen, actually, it's a country is Yemen, and Aden is the name of that city. Yemen, I was working in a petrol pump, and as a pump man, I used to fill petrol in cars and all that. And many a times, while he's filling the petrol or gas into the car, suddenly he will go and start imagining something, that one day he will be a big man and he will have his own refinery, oil refinery. So in that process, his boss will notice it, that petrol is overspilling, and he will come and fine him. And Dhirubhai Ambani has to pay every time whenever the petrol overspills. So I asked him, you wanted to establish an oil refinery? He said, yes. I said, you never thought to have 2-3 petrol pumps in the town? He said, no. I always used to think I'll have an oil refinery one day, and that is what happened later on. So we are talking of Mukesh Ambani's chart. Before I delve more into his horoscope, before that I delve more into his life, let me read out his horoscope. His Lagna or ascendant is Libra. Rahu is placed in it, and the second house is occupied by retrograde Saturn. Third house is occupied by Moon. Seventh house is occupied by Sun, Venus, Mercury and Ketu. Eighth house occupied by Mars, and 11th house is occupied by Jupiter, retrograde Jupiter. This is a chart. Mukesh Ambani was born in 1957, and soon after 1958, Dhirubhai Ambani shifted back to Mumbai, and there they started a very small, he wanted to do some business, started doing some business, and it was just not clicking. And as they say, in the beginning they were living in society, and they have to use private transportation and no special facilities. Dhirubhai Ambani wanted to get back to his mission because he wanted to do something big. And in 1980, when Mukesh Ambani was studying in a university abroad, doing his MBA after chemical engineering, then Dhirubhai Ambani wanted to go into filament business. The government of that time has started building some yarn, filament and all that. Dhirubhai Ambani was very keen to do all that. So he called Mukesh from abroad. He said, no need to continue your education, you come back. And I think the skill develops by experience is better than skill developed in the classroom. That was his philosophy, because he was not a red man that way. He was very intelligent. Then they opened Vimal, only women, shooting and all that. So they wanted to establish a factory, and this is how the whole thing begins. Now let us see from his chart. In this chart, as I have been saying all along, one planet can make or break in your life. Here, the one planet, according to my understanding, is Rahu. If Rahu is well placed in your chart, and very rarely Rahu gives good results, let me tell you that also. Invariably, Rahu gives negative results, and Rahu exposes the person to all sort of negativity. But here, Rahu in Libra is very good, and Rahu is being aspected by Lagna Lord Venus, friend Mercury, Sun and Ketu of course. So this Rahu has gained a lot of power. So horoscope, what if I see horoscope more precisely, then to my mind it's only Rahu. When Rahu is in Lagna, then you have a lack of reading other person's mind. Just look at somebody and you can know what he wants from you. And if your Lagna is strong enough, as it is Lagnesh, a lot of Lagna is aspecting Lagna, that also makes Lagna very strong, and there it is aspecting Rahu. And we are talking of 1980, around 1980. Around that time, the Sun's Mahadasha, Sun's major period, started in 1979. So Mukesh Ambani was studying abroad, America, for doing his MBA, and so Dhirubhai Ambani called him in 1980 to expand his business here, the yarn business, and then he wanted to do petroleum. So when Sun is exalted in your chart, it means you have done good deeds in your birth, and you can get the support of elders, especially father. Father gives support. And secondly, let us not forget, the Lord of 9th house, which represents father, Mercury, is also posited in the 7th house along with Venus. So that is also itself a yoga. So this yoga has brought him there, and Mukesh used the situation beautifully. And from 1985, by the time 1985, 1986 comes, Dhirubhai Ambani had a stroke, and his, I think, right hand was paralyzed and he was not working. So all the pressure or thinking or whatever come on this Mukesh. He was very young at that time, and during that time the moon's Mahadasha from 85 to 95 started. Moon is good here because it is aspected by Jupiter and making a connection with all the planets from the 7th house. 9th, 5th yoga is also there. And if you see Mars, Mars is also aspecting the moon. So moon is extra powerful, and his communication skill was too much, very great. During that time he has risen, and moon has given him the purpose of life. And later on Mars Dasha begins. Here Mars has occupied the 8th house. 8th house, but aspected by Saturn, is a Yokaraka for Libra Lagan. So here Mars has occupied the Mrakshara, his own nakshatra, and Saturn is in Jyeshtha, Mercury's nakshatra. So there is a friendly connection between Mars and this. Now we look at it, we just, 7th house also represents wife. So Mukesh Ambani's wife is Neeta Ambani, and she was a very ordinary woman, doesn't come from a very rich family as they were. And as story goes on, Dhirubhai Ambani once visited a dance show. There she was performing, Neeta Ambani, and he liked this girl and he wanted to go for an arranged marriage. And after a few days, he spoke to Neeta Ambani and he said, I am Dhirubhai Ambani. Neeta Ambani thought somebody must be joking. So he said, I am a Queen Elizabeth. So this is how the conversation goes. So he liked, and Neeta Ambani comes from a very humble background. Wherever Anil Ambani's wife comes from a very great background because she was a star. And after becoming Anil's wife, Tina Ambani didn't do much. Wherever, if you see the role of Neeta Ambani, he has done so many things. Although Lord of Lagna is in the 8th house, Lord of 7th house in the 8th house, but here Venus is the Lord of Lagna as well as the 8th house. So Venus does not do wrong, and Mukesh Ambani has given a lot of space to her. She looks after all his cricket things, IPL, and many more businesses, philanthropic and all that. So Mukesh Ambani is one of the richest men of the world. Forbes magazine said out of 500 people, he is the richest man, and many more. Then he started Geo and petrochemicals, and so many things. I don't have to count his dollars, but we all know that he has done wonderful job in all sort of situations, in all sort of government. We had earlier government was different, now the government is different. So they had the connection, and as a businessman, he is very sharp, very very active, and as I said, he is a horse who just you show him the whip, and he will see the image of the whip on the ground, and he will know what to do. So that is what we see. Now the Jupiter's Mahadasha is in operation. Jupiter has occupied the 11th house and retrograde. Jupiter is in Uttara Falguni Nakshatra, it means Sun's Nakshatra. So Sun is exalted here, so we think this Dasha will also do good to him and he will rise, but at the same time Jupiter is not a very good planet for Libra ascendant. So there are going to be many controversies, these are going to get involved and he might face some problems, but overall overall Jupiter is good and Jupiter will do good to him throughout. As far as financial position is concerned, that position will keep on increasing because Jupiter in the 11th house gives you huge money which is unaccountable. So that is what is happening, and I see a great future between I see a great future of Mukesh Ambani. And some time back we discussed the horoscope of Anil Ambani. When the Lagnesh, Lord of Lagna, is weak, what happens to you? You get everything in life and then you destroy yourself. And here, when the Lord of Lagna ascendant is strong, then you create wealth from nothing. That is what he has done, and he has supported his father and made him and entire family very proud of him.
एस्ट्रोलॉजी की सटीक जानकारी के लिए विश्वविख्यात एस्ट्रोलॉजर अजय भांबी के यूट्यूब चैनल ABC चैनल को सब्सक्राइब, लाइक और शेयर करें। लेटेस्ट अपडेट के लिए बेल के बटन पर जरूर क्लिक करें।